G'day, I'm Michael PA from Waves and Digigrid. I'm a product specialist here in the United States. Ignore the accent. This is what I'm going to be showing you today. I'm going to be showing you 3 new plugins: the Butch Vig vocal, H-Reverb, and also the DBX 160. Let's start with the Butch Vig. Butch Vig is part of our new Artist Signature series that you've seen over the last couple of years. What we've been doing is we've been doing series with people like Tony Maserati, Chris Lord-Alge, Jack Joseph Puig, Eddie Kramer, etc., which help and guide you in getting a decent sound for your different instruments and vocals in your mix. Now, this plugin though has a lot of differences because Butch Vig is a producer, he's not a mixer. So there are no faders for delay, reverb, slapback, compression, EQ, distortion. This plugin is all about getting a decent sound for a vocal so that you actually have a starting place, so that you actually have somewhere to go with and then put it into the mix. Now, first thing you're going to notice is it looks kind of weird. With all of these plugins, we actually let the artist that we're working with guide us on how it looks, and this is pretty much how Butch wanted it to look. So, why does it look like this? Because Butch Vig said so. Now, what we have here is we have at the top, we have 3 different kinds of EQ, low, presence, and air. We're never going to tell you exactly what they do. Low is fairly self-explanatory. It's going to give you some more low end without making it sound muddy. Presence is at a nice frequency that adds a bit of an voxy kind of feel, but it makes it feel like you're actually got the singer closer to the microphone. And then air can spread it out a bit without actually kind of like putting a reverb or a delay on it. It just makes it sound literally more airy. Now with all of these, you've got to actually make sure that you have enough signal going into it for the whole thing to be able to kick in. So this light up here, like all of our artist signatures, goes from green to red. So if I press play, it's still green, so I need to make sure that I get some more signal. It's a teeny weeny bit more signal, so that's good. Bit of distortion in there. This computer has seen a lot of work in the last couple of days, excuse that. So then we can decide, okay, let's take a bit of low end out of it. So take a bit of air out of it. Bypass. So that's sounding nice. Then down here we have a de-esser. Now this de-esser is set at 1 fixed frequency and it works really nicely. It's very, 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 very transparent, really impressive, and very, very low latency as well, which is nice. Now over here, now on the left and right, we've got low cut and high cut. And then we've got output. Low cut and high cut, low pass, high pass, same thing. Very, very easy to use. We've got a compressor here, which again, can help punch it up without making it sound overly compressed.
The music's gonna come to you, and maybe we'll change your life.
And then down here with tube and solid state, they're going to add some warmth, maybe a bit of distortion and analog clipping if you want it, so that you have the freedom to kind of like distort and break it up if you feel so. This is a very, very easy plugin to use, and it's a lot of fun. So when this comes out, please, we invite you to demo it, have a mess around with it, and see what you think. We have gone into a bit of a partnership with Hardin Cardon, and we've released an official model of the DBX 160, which is one of the classic compressors. Now, there are a few different versions of the hardware. Be clear, this is the original 160 that had the wood paneling on the side. It's got VUs, it doesn't have digital meters. That's the one that we modeled. The other thing to remember about this is all 160s sound completely different. They all do the same thing, but they all have their different characters. It's all part of the way that the guy invented them actually made them all. So this one might not sound like your 160 if you have the hardware, but it does sound like a 160. There's not much more to say about that really. It's a great looking plugin. There are 2 versions obviously. There's the mono version here, which looks like this. And then of course, let's bring up the stereo version. Now if you have a 160, you'll automatically notice a difference down in this area here. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, because for those of you who don't know, do a bit of a Google and you'll find out. We've added something that wasn't actually in the original hardware because the guy who invented it actually thought it was going to be too hard. And it was probably for hardware, but in digital, we can go on and we can add whatever we want. Next plugin. We have a series of plugins which we call the H series. H-Delay, H-Comp, H-EQ, hybrid, digital and analog. We've released a new one, it's called H-Reverb. It's a very, very impressive sounding reverb. It's also very, very powerful. And right now, by our Waves artists who have been demoing it for us, it's being compared to some very, very high-end hardware reverb. So we're very, very happy with that. So there's a lot of good remarks on this, so you should try it out. When you first open it, it looks like this. It's a standard reverb, right? You've got your pre-delay, you've got your build-up, you've got your size, then you've got your envelope release, tail and balance, you've got dry, wet, and you've got output. Right here, envelope release, we also give you previews on what all the different ones that you can start with are, and then of course you've got your reverb time if you want to do it that way. Now, this button here is called Excite. What Excite does is we have a bit of filtered white noise in there, so that if you don't actually have any signal going through the reverb, you say for example, let's go to a preset, you can go Excite, you see the envelopes go, the VUs going up, it actually gives you a preview of what that tail will sound like, which is a really, really good feature. Now, I haven't stopped, so let's keep going. Expand. Let's add some things in that don't usually come in a reverb. Firstly, we've got an EQ section for the reverb, which if you're a Waves user, may look familiar. You've got a lot of control here of your Q, your frequency, etc. It's a lot of fun, and it can really, really help you shape your sound. You've also got a dynamic section which you can turn on or off. If it's on, you've got ducking, compression, and de-essing. Now, if you're using the de-esser, you're not actually de-essing the actual signal of the vocal, whatever it is you're putting into the reverb. You're only de-essing the tail so that it sits nicely in the mix, which again is a great feature. Right. In the middle here, you've got input and you've got output echoes. There's your frequency, there's your selections right there, which is really nice. And again, you can turn those on or off. Now over here, you've got damping. Again, drag and drop or use the selections down here. You've got an envelope with release and attack, and you've got an LFO, which can either be synced to a BPM, or if you unsync it, you've got your rate. So you can create that there. And then over down here, connected to all of this, you've got modulation, and you can either have host or internal, control your own tempo, and you've got a drive for attenuative and distortion. Another really great feature here is if you've got analog on, you can actually have it from digital to analog. You can go down to a 12-bit or an 8-bit modeled reverb. Wow. Now, we have a few different versions of this we're releasing. We've got this version, which is 8 version, which has a medium tail. But you can also go, okay, let's go long, which is a 12-second tail. And then you also have 5.0 and 5.1 surround. This is a really powerful reverb, and again, we invite you to mess around with it once we release it in a few weeks. It is great sounding reverb.